You know, when you're sitting in a theater for 2 hours, it's pretty easy to forget just how much it actually costs to produce a film. Oh, sure, we hear and read about it all the time. But to think that those millions of dollars, not to mention the endless hours of work by hundreds of artists and craftsmen, can be undermined by something as simple as this. It's kind of like having someone take a nail to your favorite irreplaceable photograph. Or better yet, a term paper that you've pored over for hours on end. It's your only copy, and just before you turn it in, your dog... well, you know what dogs do.
Ah, yes. Presentation is everything. Serves you right, though. That crack about a dog and all. But seriously, the point is well taken. As a projectionist, you're the last link in the creative chain, and it's really up to you to make sure that the director's vision is completely realized. The fate of how well a film is perceived to a large degree is dependent on how well you do your job. Remember, the whole idea behind motion pictures is to take us away from the ordinary, from the world as we normally see it. They can transport us to other neighborhoods and other cities, or other worlds and other galaxies. They allow us to suspend our disbelief, if only for a couple of hours. But all it takes to destroy these wonderful illusions and bring us back to reality is a scratched print, an out-of-focus picture, or a distorted or garbled sound. Hey, let's face it, in our business, probably more than any other, presentation is truly everything.
You know, up until that film break, he really had me going. But he's absolutely right. Your job is an important part of creating the art of film. And our goal is not to tell you how to do that job, but rather to review some standard practices and maybe some new ideas and procedures to help you do your job more easily. And better.
Now, whether you're building up a new print or tearing down an existing one, or threading the projector with the day's feature presentation, never let the film touch the floor at any time. As a projectionist, this is one of your golden rules. And remember, always wear white cotton gloves, much like these gloves, when inspecting the film. But for accuracy of threading and for your own safety, never wear the white gloves for threading. Never. As you know, the most common cause of film damage is due to scratches, and once a print is scratched, it's literally ruined forever. And while the cost of a print in no way compares to the cost of making the film, we're still talking about property worth thousands of dollars that the theater is liable for, and whose fate is literally in your hands during all phases of film projection, whether you're threading a projector or moving prints from one auditorium to another. And when you do have to move film to another auditorium, make sure that the tails are taped and that you immediately remove that tape once the film is delivered to its next location. But be sure to get some help. Never move a feature by yourself, folks. The danger of dropping a film or damaging the platter feed-out assembly is too great if you attempt to move it by yourself. And unless specifically instructed otherwise, always use clamps, but do so with care to avoid scratching the platter. Now, before ever handling film, make sure your projection booth is clean and free of dust, much like my apartment. To eliminate airborne dust, especially around platters and projectors, you'll need to use an appropriate handheld duster. And depending on your floor's surface, you'll either want to use a vacuum or a dust mop.
Be sure you clean the top of the rewind bench as well, removing any excess clutter before building up or tearing down a print.
But before building up or tearing down a print, totally inspect each reel here on the rewind bench before transferring the reels to the makeup table and onto the platter.
Remove leaders and tails, check for torn sprocket holes, bad splices, scratches, and dirt, and then make any necessary repairs in compliance with your company's guidelines. And when removing leaders and tails, always leave one frame of picture, one on each leader and one on each tail, so you can correctly identify the reels that tear down.
When you're setting the height of the makeup table, be sure the film stays on the edge. If the picture rubs on the platter, it'll result in diagonal scratches like these. And excessive platter speed on buildup and teardown can cause cinch mark scratches and cause the film to fly off the platter and across the room. Remember, pulling on the end of any loosely wound film will cause cinch mark scratches.
When splicing all the reels together, they must be in order with heads up and all soundtracks on the same side. Make sure you use an approved clear splicing tape, not Scotch tape, and then mark your splices for teardown. And the most acceptable way to mark splices is with a Sanford-type marking pen. Never use white shoe polish or any paint-type substance on splices or tails. These products will damage your prints and dirty your projector. Not only do they flake off during projection, but they adhere to the film and then show up as dirt on the screen.
Then be sure to remove any old cue tapes still on the film and replace them with cues for your theater. Remember, old cue tapes that have not been removed are one of the major causes of automation problems.
When labeling the film on the tail with tape and a marker, list the title, aspect ratio, and sound format. But again, never use white shoe polish or any paint-type substance on tails or splices.
For teardown, again, set the height of the makeup table so the film stays on edge, and then as you wind it off the platter, remove your cue tapes. Before putting it back in the can for shipping, make sure you replace the leaders and tails on the correct reels and have the correct shipping band on the reel.
Although the buildup and teardown of prints can vary from theater to theater, the procedures for presentation are pretty specific. Before threading, always clean the projector's film trap and aperture as well as the film gate and sprocket wheels. Then go ahead and wipe out the operating side of the projector as well. But never, I repeat, never attempt to clean the projector while it's running. Well, you know what they say.
No. What do they say?
Well, they say that a rag in the projector keeps the serviceman in business.
They actually say that?
Yeah, they do. Well, because a rag can get caught in sprockets and gears and freeze up the projector and strip the gears.
Okay, know-it-all. What do they say about checking the sound?
Intermission music. You can use it to check the booth monitors as well as the speaker system in the auditorium.
Good idea. And on a regular basis, at the beginning of your shift, check the porthole glass, the projection lenses, and the sound optics and clean them if needed.
Then, if applicable for your theater's projection system, check the intermittent and sound head oil levels to avoid severe projector damage.
Right. But note here that while you check these items daily, make sure that you still refer to the projector's instruction manual for the manufacturer's recommended maintenance schedule and procedures.
When it comes to actually threading the projector, there are 5 golden rules of projection that must be adhered to. 5 golden rules.
How about that? First, lock the intermittent into the stop position by rotating the hand wheel or flywheel.
Second, check the film's position as it's pulled into the projector. Note here that the framed picture of the film should be upside down. However, the numbers on the leader may or may not be upside down. Golden rule number 3. The analog soundtrack should always face toward you. Number 4. Never let the film touch the floor. The correct threading procedure is to first secure the film from the feed platter, then thread loosely around the film guidance rollers and back to the take-up platter, and then thread the projector. If you're using reels, the procedure is similar. But in either scenario, never let the film touch the floor. In those instances when this is not possible, use a clean laundry basket. To secure the tail of the film, use suction cups, magnets, or tuck the end, but never tape the end. Golden rule number 5. Always check your work by hand.
And always thread 1 to 2 feet before your theater start position. Then, run your fingers over all the sprockets. You should be able to feel the sprocket's teeth poking through the film on both the inside and outside edges of the film. Then run the film down a few frames with the hand wheel just to make sure. If the film's not threaded correctly, you'll actually be able to hear the difference. This simple procedure will detect most threading errors and prevent most film breaks and show shutdowns. Then, check the framing as you run the film down to the correct point. But never use the motor for this purpose. Use the projector motor's hand wheel or flywheel. Next, make sure the film is properly passing over all the sprocket wheels and platter rollers.
Now you're almost ready to start the show. But first double check all fail-safes and the film path. After starting the show, look and listen. Before ever going on to start the next show, check the focus, the framing, and the picture's steadiness. Then make sure that the film is traveling properly over all platter rollers and through the projector. This is critical because improperly threaded film may run for 5 or 10 minutes before breaking and stopping the show. And be sure to check the light level as well. Both the changeover shutter and the lamp house dowser should be open all the way. Then, if necessary, correct the format, focus, masking, and sound. There should be no distortion, and the sound level may have to be set differently from show to show, depending on crowd size and other factors. Since all trailers are now made in stereo, they should be played in stereo format using stereo volume levels. Because focus and sound levels may vary from previews to feature, you'll want to make sure you repeat each of these steps just as soon as the feature begins. Then recheck them again every 15 to 30 minutes during the feature. Remember, presentation is everything.
But what would you do if something like this were to happen on your shift? Okay, roll 'em.
This is not a good sign.
Now, just as you should in any emergency situation, first and foremost, remain calm. And don't forget about your audience. Many theaters even have a policy to give out refreshments or passes in the event of equipment breakdowns. But either way, have frequent announcements made to the audience to keep them notified as you run through the following troubleshooting procedures. Use deductive reasoning to figure out the problem. Remember, most problems are the result of human error, not equipment breakdown. Now, the first thing you should always do is to check all switches and settings. If there's no picture, as in this example, then follow the path of light through the projector. Now, what about the lamp house? Is it lit? If not, check the rectifier circuit and the lamp house switches. Then, if applicable, try igniting the bulb with the manual switches. Also, check to make sure that the lamp house blowers and rectifier blowers are operating. If these cooling blowers stop, heat sensors will shut down the lamp house to prevent bulb or component damages. Now, be sure to check the air interlock switch in the lamp house as well. If you still have no light, check the dowser changeover shutter and the fire shutter to see if they are open. Then, check the lens cap covers. Hey, it's possible they were left on. And go ahead and check both sides of the lens to be sure. After all else has been checked, check the bulb. With xenon lamp houses, the general rule of thumb is, if it won't light, first try to ignite it again, and then, if necessary, install a new bulb. But first, make sure you're familiar with your company's policy and safety procedures before doing so. But remember, more often than not, most problems are the result of human error and not equipment breakdown.
Now, in this example, we lost the picture. But what would you do if the sound system failed? As I was saying, just as you followed the path of light through the projector, you'll need to follow the audio signal through the projector to the amps to the speakers. First, check the volume control. Is it set at the proper level? Remember, when checking the volume control, never turn it up all the way and leave it in that position, because if the sound were to suddenly come back on, you'd blow the speakers. Then, check to see if the exciter lamp or the infrared lamp is lit. Next, make sure the amplifier and the stereo processor are on. Then, check the auditorium to make sure the problem isn't just with the booth monitor. If necessary, switch to the emergency or backup system. But first, be sure to set the volume level accordingly. Then call the service technician to help you troubleshoot through the problem. And just as you would with a picture problem or a complete show shutdown, call from the booth phone and not from the lobby phone. Then be prepared to give a clear, detailed description of the problem using the correct terminology. In the event that the technician would need to call you back, keep the phone line open. Don't let it get tied up with other calls. This is extremely important, and it could mean the difference between being able to fix the problem quickly or losing the show.
Now, in case the film stops mid-show, notify the manager. And remember, stay calm and use deductive reasoning to determine the source of the problem. First, check all fail-safes. If automation is causing the problem, then use the manual override switches to start the show. Next, check the film. Is it threaded properly through the failsafe? Then, check the platter. Is the film jammed? And what about the platter payout? Is the platter plugged in and the power on? Or is there a problem with the platter fuses or circuit breaker? Before pushing the start button, recheck all platter switches and threading. Make sure all fail-safes are engaged and advance the film a few feet with the hand wheel. Then, push the start button. Remember, as a projectionist, your job plays an important role in creating the art and illusion of film. And you should take it as seriously as the artists and craftsmen that were responsible for bringing it into your theater. Because as a projectionist, presentation is everything.
It sure is, my little narrator friend. It sure is.